person, and though I was in the tender age, she would talk to me every now and again, which in retrospect I was highly complimented because there were so many people on the campus and so many exciting people came to visit. But I thought the faculty was really a very unique and skilled group. In retrospect, they did an excellent job, I feel, of teaching and establishing a kind of an association with their students that made them perhaps more of a friend. Nothing else. The teaching, I felt, was a very friendly, low-key proposition. But it was a subtle, direct, in many ways, a considered approach. And oftentimes, I think the students really were not aware of what a good, solid grounding they were getting in the particular subjects that we were working on. I think later on, and I think this may be interesting, I have been asked many times, well, when you go to a school, when you attended a school such as Organic, and later on the Edgewood School in Greenwich, which apparently didn't put any stress on grades and examinations. They asked me, what happened when you went on to a very traditional kind of a university, which was pretty much steeped in the sort of the old philosophy of the Boston Latin School, where everything was set up and compartmentalized and were tested and with a lot of rote learning. I found that when I got to college, I think the only handicap that I had was that I didn't really understand the techniques of taking a test, the techniques of examinations. But in many ways, I was considerably ahead of many of my classmates because I feel that I had really a much broader and corny term, a well-rounded approach. But I pretty soon caught on to the system. My grades during the first year were rather marginal. Not that I wasn't learning, but I didn't have the technique of taking quizzes, exams, tests. Once I got the handle on that, I did quite well, and I felt that the educational experience that I'd gotten here on this campus, the Organic campus, later on under the same sort of philosophical context, this had done a great job for me. Later on in my professional life, I tried many experiments to apply some of what I have learned here in a matter of very few years, and what I have learned later on at Edgewood. How could I apply some of these to the principles of teaching college students? I had some success, although I think unfortunately in the last 25 years a great deal of stress was placed on testing and quizzes and these sort of things. But this was my own particular background. I think I have never given up the idea that this was really the way that you learn. I think that probably one of the most interesting things that happened to me, maybe professionally, is that I got to meet John Dewey. And certainly familiar with the educational philosophy, Organic, later on at Edgewood. John Dewey was very influential. A great deal of thinking that went into the development of the programs here on this campus and elsewhere. I actually had Alice Dewey, who was John Dewey's granddaughter, in a class. Well, John Dewey is a very frail, elderly gentleman at that time. He came and gave the commencement address when his granddaughter Alice was graduating. I was interested, of course, as an adult then, an experienced, semi-experienced at least teacher, to hear some of the same sort of philosophical concepts, ideas that I had read about in his various books and in the various classes that I had taken in the field of education. And in many ways I thought back, where has this affected me my life and perhaps my professional experience. And realizing these things, it has been a real joy for me to, I think, to have had such an unusual in a way, but kind of exhilarating, exciting experience in the field of education, and to be able to look back and find something about the roots. Where did my interests, how are they developed, who are the influential people? And I think that probably that Mrs. Johnson and Mary Chase and the experiences that I had on this campus were really, really fine, and I have had such a real appreciation for what has transpired. And again, getting back to the fact, I'm just so pleased that we have this chance to talk here in this room on the organic campus.
Hector, that was beautiful. It makes me realize how hopeful we can be that education will take this twist. And Bob Smith here, who's doing this work for us on the campus, he is instigating this very philosophy in a public school system, in the Mobile system, and he's in his second year of this